Alright, so the thing was, my application was too big, just like this penguin. But then we changed our application to a little better size. And that's how we did that. So in real life, the penguin was pretty heavy, the weight was heavy, and he worked a lot and turned himself into this muscle guy. So how do we do this from a high size penguin to a low size penguin? Actually, what we're gonna do is that our application Atraxia was before 85 MB, which we turned to 25 MB just using the minify enabled on. Now what is this minify enabled? So we'll go to this screen and here you will see that we have got this thing here, which is this. Look at that. Is minify enabled? True. Is shrinking resources? True. Now what is this proguard file? First of all, let's just copy this and we're gonna put it in our here place. There we go. Alright, so what is this? First of all, the build types, it tells you by the name release. So this is when you release your app and gonna publish it on Play Store and something else. So what you do is that we have an option to keep this minify enabled as true or as false, whatever you like. So what does this really do? What it does is that this minify thing, it reduces your app size, whatever your app size is. Like I had 85 MB, it got reduced to 25 MB. You may have 150 MB, which get reduced to 35 MB. Just like that, you may have 50 MB, which get reduced to 15 MB. Just like that. So that's how the penguin works for like what? 6 months. The penguin really walks out himself for 6 crazy months, right? But what? We don't have to do this all. If you wanna go, of course, if you wanna go muscle, you gotta do this, man. You gotta do this because this penguin looks hot, and the girls will fall over him. Look at that, the hearts. How many heart he got? And how many heart he got? Just a pizza slice. Well, that's great too, but not that great, right? He got too fat, which was just considered as 185 kilograms, man. 185 kilograms. What is that? What is that, man? 185 kilograms. That's pretty insane. But it got changed to what? Just 85 kilograms. Bro, that is so good. That is so good. So, look at that. We got fat to fit. Fat to fit. How? Now we're gonna go with this place. It's only gonna take us 6 minutes. At most 6 minutes, alright? It's at most. How do we do that? We're gonna go to this code. So what is this here, really? So here you see that we have got build types, which is already defined in your place. If you look in your buildGradle.kts or whatever file you got, we have got the KTS one, the Kotlin one, you may have the Groovy. So you can just go with any of those. Just consider this. Build types, you should have the build types, get by name, release, and then what you should have is that is minify enabled, right? Is minify enabled, you might have this as false, alright? You might have this as false, but we turned this into true because we wanted to we wanted to reduce the size from 85 MB to 25 MB because Flutter takes a hell lot of goddamn size, man, a hell lot of goddamn size. We created this application in Flutter named as Atraxia. You can just search on Play Store and the link is in the description already. It's a pretty UI heavy app. It's a great UI and a really cool features. So what we do, we just go in your build grader, and here in the build Gradle you will see this is minify enabled. It might be false by default, but you gotta make it true. And then is shrink resources is maybe not even present in your code. So what you're gonna do, you're just gonna turn this is minify enabled true, then you're gonna add this but is shrink resources. This value you have to add it and then put it as true. And after this you gotta go create this proguard files. I will put this code in the description too. You just copy and paste that, and because this file is gonna be same, you have to name your proguard just like that, proguard-rules.pro. Just like that you have to do that, and you have to put it in your, I will tell you where. So keep those in mind that we have got minify enable true, shrink resources true, and then proguard files. So first of all, what is the minify enabled? Minify enabled, it's minify your things, which is such as using the things such as obfuscation. What is obfuscation? Let's go for that first of all. So here, if you look at that, this is the original function and this is obfuscated one. So what is the difference really? here if you see that this function greet is really readable by human, like this is a function I created which is for greeting, and in the function we pass the parameter as name. So your name may be the med programmers, you are in the med programmers, so greet med programmers, and here console log it will give you hello plus the med programmers plus the exclamation mark, hello the med programmers. However, this function is pretty readable by you and understandable by a human person. So what is this obfuscated one? Look at that. This is the function we write in the program, and this is the function it's got automatically converted by this minify-enabled thing. So that's the difference. Is minify-enabled true? And this obfuscated, that's what happens. Here it creates a function A, which is just a function A with a parameter B, and it passes console log hello plus B. So it's readable and kind of understandable by human, but no one knows if it's a greet until unless they are a pretty good coder to know that hello is for greeting, and this is a function name, this is a parameter, because this greet is pretty understandable, but this is not. So this is obfuscation. And the other thing it uses is that key tree shaking. So what is tree shaking? The tree shaking is just that obfuscation hides the logic and tree shaking removes the unused code. So here if you look at that, we have got export function, use function, and console log I am used. And the other one is unused function and says console log I am not used. So what really happens here? When you turn that on, you turn this signingConfig and minify-enabled true, then this happens. It uses the used function from the file, whichever we have declared it in, and the used function is used, but the unused function is never imported, so tree shaking removes it. So because it is never used, right? So tree shaking literally removes it and reduces your app size, and that's how it works. So this is the thing which happens is minify-enabled, and then the one, the signingResources thing. Now what is this proguard-files? What is that? So I'm going to show you my proguard-files here. Look at that. Here, those are the codes which you don't want to minify. Those are the codes which you don't want to, shrink or minify. You just ignore them from here. You just ignore them from here. Is minify-enabled is true. Is signingResources is true, but not for those. Those are not enabled for those because those are ignored, and that's why we created proguard-rules.pro. Look at that. proguard-files and get default, and you don't have to understand this whole code. Just know that this is true, minify-enabled, the isShrinkResources true, your app will shrink, and the proguard-files you have to define this. Why? You must say that we don't want to define that. It's better if the size gets reduced. Even better if it gets reduced from 85 MB to perhaps just 5 MB, not even 25. We want that, right? We want the goddamn 5 MB, not even 85, not even 25. So we remove this 2 and we just want 5 MB. Well, that's great. That certainly is great. But you should know that it might break your application when someone uses it, and if they're using it and it goes suddenly boom, crash. It crashes and it doesn't create a good user experience. So you have to create this file and you have to test again and again by using the command app release, because that doesn't work with this command. This one, it doesn't work with Flutter run. You have to put the release too, because this minify thing works in release only. So I'm going to tell you what happens when I just remove this release, and let's just process with Flutter run. There we go. Actually, let's build an APK only, because this APK file, we can run it in our emulator or perhaps in the Android device without publishing on Play Store. This is the APK file, but let's just check it out once it's done processing, how much size it consists of. Look at that. The file size is 80.1 MB. This is the file size when we use no minify enable, because if we don't use that, it's going to increase to a hell lot of size. But now what we're going to do, we are going to build the bundle and publish it on Play Store. So how do we build a bundle? It's you just got to go and put the command, which is flutter build app bundle release. You got to use this command. So this minifies a lot, and now you see the APK size is 80.1 MB. But when we go to Play Store, you'll see that the size has been reduced by a lot. We go to Atraxia, and now we're gonna go to the test and release and testing and close testing, and here you will just see minus track. All right, now Where is that? Release history. Show that to me. And this is the version 1.0.5. Let's check this out. And look at that. Size for new installs 18.6 MB. That's it. 18.6 MB is for when we used the minify enable. But when we didn't, I'm gonna show you that too. When we didn't use it, so how it was looking like. If you see this too, we have got the new version and which was 1.0.6. Manage release. Look at that. We have the new size which is 18.6 MB. This is the new installs. And when we had the version which was 1.0.1, let's look at that. How does it look like? Look at that. This was the first version. We have upgraded a lot and it got increased to a hell lot of things. But now it's been reduced by a lot. By a lot, you see that, right? We had 85 MB, or you just saw here, we had 80.1 MB of the application, which suddenly got reduced. Oh my god, not 5 MB, but of course 18.6 MB. So that's how you can just enable your minify thing, and it helps you a lot, mate, a lot, literally. So just go in your build Gradle, make your isMinifyEnabled true, isShrinkResources true. If this is not present, just paste this whole block where? Here. Look at this signingConfigs. Below this block, you have to put your buildTypes, and here you have to just enable those two, and then put your proguard-files, and here is the proguard-file. But you don't have to copy this one because this is my code, and I'm using like such as, look at that, I'm using Firebase, I'm using Supabase, I'm using Work Manager, I'm using billing for purchasing in the application, I'm using QR scanner. You might not use this com.google.ml kit. This is a kit for using the QR scanner for importing stuff from the camera by scanning those. So you might not use that. So you don't even need this. You are just wasting a thing. Alright. So this is how you can just create a proguard rules so that your app doesn't crashes, and even you do this so that user doesn't get irritated of huge app sizes. And we have certainly reduced our application size from a great amount to a pretty insanely better amount. Look at that. And we had a pretty good flowchart for that, which is this, but it may not need of you. Minify enable is true. Shrinking, optimization, obfuscation. I already told you what is obfuscation. It is hiding the code, which is not required. And from the machine understands it still, but the user doesn't properly. And then we have shrink resources, true. And then we have the smaller app size. The first it was 85 MB. It got reduced to 25 MB and even less, which I already showed you, 18.6 MB. That's the install size, man. That's pretty great size for the application we built already. So keep working out and keep getting better. That's it from the man programmers. See you later. Alligator.